I am joined together with Annie Roth, who is the co-founder of the nonprofit Find Your Voice Now, a community of over 2,200 women who are rediscovering their strength. Annie, welcome. Welcome. I should say remarkable, Annie. Welcome.
Thank you. We're actually over 2,700. So
Oh
just
my
to clarify,
goodness.
yeah, it wasn't your typo by any means. It was in the bio. We've just increased so rapidly.
Wow.
Yeah, so we're over 2,700 now, and we just opened a men's group. Their first actual support group will be April 16th.
Oh my goodness, that is phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. So, obviously, 2,700 did not happen overnight. Tell me kind of how all this began for you.
Well, it really started on an airplane. My current husband and I were flying to Seattle, and we had a 4.5 hour flight. Woman couldn't find a seat before the plane took off. We offered her a seat next to our seats, and she and I did not stop talking for the whole 4.5 hours. So much so that my husband's like, "Girls, I'm going to the window." So he let us have our discussions. I was reading up on something about narcissism. I'm a certified wellness coach by trade, and she's like, "What's that?" And so I explained it to her. And she said, "Oh, that sounds like my first husband." And I said, "Well, that's sort of like my first husband." And we started talking in more detail and said, "Hey, I don't want to end this conversation. Will you call me?" We went to exchange phone numbers, realized we had the return flight from Seattle back home, another 4.5 hours.
Stop.
No. So we, of course, saved her a seat. My husband got the window right away, no
Yeah,
questions
yeah,
asked.
yeah, he's out.
Yeah, yeah. And probably a boring flight for him, but she and I talked about all the things that we didn't have. So she went through a 25-year marriage. I went through a 28-year marriage. Um, it was very challenging. We both had our own therapists, and therapy's amazing. Couldn't get through without therapist. However, we felt still isolated. We felt like maybe other people don't really understand what we're going through. And so we said, let's start a support group. So we did. March of 2022, we said, let's do it. And we did. We filed for our 501(c)(3). We're a nonprofit. Of course, the meeting started with maybe two or three people, and now we have over 2,700. We don't get all those every meeting, mind you. I mean, it's actually quite an intimate group. Like we'll get 50 people at RSVP, but maybe 10 or 15 show up, which actually I prefer because that way the women have an opportunity to really feel comfortable, not intimidated, and
Mhm.
they can say what they're feeling. And we always have a topic. So they're told a week in advance of what our topics are going to be. Like today was an interesting topic. Today, our topic was healing and how you're not always done with it.
Mm.
And that was really appropriate for me because something happened last week where I was triggered, and I've been out of my relationship for over 9 years. Um, and yet I was triggered again. And, you think you go through so much healing that almost you're invincible. It's like I've been there, done that. I did the work. Now look at me. I'm happy. I'm thriving. But then something short can happen and just set you off where you're like, why did that happen? And then you realize healing is not linear. Okay.
Mm.
You're going to have relapses, you're going to have situations, and it's all about how we can work through them differently now because we have these tools that we've discovered. And that's what the group is all about. It's about helping each other gain those tools, learn from one another, no judgment.
That's incredible. And I'm a really big believer in that everything happens for a reason. And there's no doubt in my mind after hearing your story that you two were placed on not one, but two of the same flights for
Yes.
this exact reason and exact purpose. And just by the two of you meeting, you've already had an impact on I would say at least 2,700 and more to come. Now, what would you say is because you did mention like feeling like you're in isolation? I would imagine that someone who feels in isolation to go to a meeting to come, to seek out help and support would be a massive first step. What are some words of encouragement or something that would benefit someone that is nervous about taking that first step?
That's a great question. First of all, they don't have to show their face. They don't even have to talk. Um, Only initially, because we actually have been hacked on Zoom by people. I don't know. I guess there are people that are just always not so nice in the world. But in general, they show their face, they say who they are, and then they can just turn the camera off. But the most important message that I would get across to someone is, you know what, if you're feeling alone and stuck and just don't know where to go, what to do, just listen. Just join
Mm,
us and listen because, as I said, this is a safe space. That's why I do the protocol that I just mentioned. And you're heard.
mm. And how powerful that is to be heard. I was just talking with another one of the remarkable ladies the other day, and we had the conversation of how people want to be seen. People want to be heard for who they are as people and not necessarily, by their circumstance. They want you to see them first, and then a lot of times that opening up happens afterwards. Now, what started, so you mentioned that I think it's next month or May. We're
April 16th for men. Is that what you're
April
talking about?
16th for men.
Yes.
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 Yes. So how did that start?
We had a lot of men that wanted to join the group.
Mm-hmm.
And as I said, it's a safe space. And we knew that it would be difficult to have both genders. So we said, I think we need to start this men's group sooner. So we actually have two facilitators, men, that have been through very narcissistic relationships
Mm-hmm.
in both either marriages or even just with, parents, the way they were raised, and they are going to facilitate the men's group. And I couldn't be happier because they offer so much. And I really feel that I think they're going to make the other men feel very comfortable and and allow them to really speak. I think for so many years, men were sort of told, "Oh, you gotta like be macho and you gotta hold it
Mm-hmm.
in, and
Mm-hmm.
don't let your feelings show." That kind of thing. I I think men are getting a little more vulnerable. I think they're realizing that it's okay to be sensitive. And it's okay to speak up if you're not being treated properly.
Mm-hmm. I absolutely agree. And I think too that there's also more of a realization, just in general, that these things happen to men too. There's no gender bias when it comes to how people are treated, and how powerful it is that now that they're going to have your organization as an outlet for them as well. Now, what would you say to anyone who has had these shared experiences, wants to help other people, but is not sure how to get started or how to reach other people or share their story? What's a piece of advice that you would give them?
Well, first of all, that's the beautiful aspect of the support group. So we have all different layers to the individuals that come into our program. They could be at the very beginning of the problem, they could be in the thick of it, or they could be already out of a relationship that was toxic and they want to do, as you just said, help others.
Mm,
So we have our healers, we have our survivors, we have the individuals that are struggling so much. And it's such a beautiful mix because it allows them an area to really understand what other people have gone through and learn from it. Another group, we're going to be expanding into teens, into veterans, into
mm-hmm,
LGBTQ.
mm-hmm,
So we're connecting with some wonderful organizations that are going to help us in all the different groups that I spoke of. We partner with many wonderful mental health organizations, domestic violence facilities, rape crisis centers, child abuse, um, women who have been incarcerated. We we are really trying very hard to meet people where they're at, and we understand everyone could use a little help. All right. You're always going to encounter difficulty. And that's the part that I think is the biggest message of what Find Your Voice Now is about. We are not advocating for people to leave their husband or their wife that's mistreating them. We are advocating for you to find your voice, to empower yourself, to gain that inner strength so that maybe that relationship could work out. If you
Hmm.
just literally said, this is not respectful for me, and you lay down the boundaries because of the tools that you've discovered within our groups, and your life can be better. It's all about making your life better. What does that look like?
Now, you mentioned before that recovery is not linear, right? And we were just talking about what does it look like to make your life better? What is a piece of advice that you would have for someone who maybe, thought like, this is great, I'm healed, I'm good to go, and then woo, gets triggered and caught by surprise, I would say, that, these feelings are coming back. Rather than feeling upset about having those feelings, what's a piece of advice that you would give to provide an understanding that that process is, like you said, not linear?
So your question is so appropriate because this, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, it happened to me last week, and
Mm-hmm.
here I felt like, oh, I'm healed, Um,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you're really ever healed. The answer is you learn to understand your feelings better. You
Mm.
learn to understand that things are not always in your control and that the only thing you can really count on is the belief in yourself. And I think when with the group's help, I'll be honest, they reminded me, but you know what, you are strong. You know what, and it's okay to have possible relapses or being triggered. That's life.
Mm.
But is that trigger going to define me moving forward? Am I going to allow it to actually have that much space in my brain? No, because I know differently now. That is not my issue. That is their issue. My issue is just what can I do to take care of myself? And I think that's a lot of what we're trying to educate people. You know what? Start believing in yourself. Stop being compared to the thin little model that looks like she hasn't eaten in 10 years. Okay. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, that is not an attractive look, first of all, but it's also not a healthy look. And if you're comparing yourself to that person, why? You are beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Believe that you're beautiful. And I think once you get over the lack of self-esteem, which is truly what one of my issues was growing up, and you start really thinking, I'm okay. I'm okay the way I am. I'm okay. Then you start having confidence that can help you further along in your life. I looked at my life through other people's lens. And that is what I'm trying to take back.
Mm.
I'm trying to look through my life through my eyes, through my lens, and say, it's good.
Oh, you know what? I just feel like I just had a session with you. I feel so good right now.
Oh, I love
I'm gonna
it.
walk out of here with, like this.
Thank you.
Oh my goodness, that was amazing. And something that I always, because I am definitely like in a profession that has a high burnout, just like so many of us that were part of the Remarkable Women for 2026 and the years before us. I always like to ask to get new ideas for myself, for anyone who's listening. You give so much every day of yourself to help and to support. What is something that you do for yourself that refills that tank so that you are able to give all it is that you are giving?
So I try to be the best mother I can be. I have grown children. And from a divorce situation, sometimes it can be challenging, but that's a very, very big deal for me, even though they live in different cities, they live in different states. Um, I exercise. I do pickleball 3, 4 times a week. I do water aerobics twice a week. I work out on the elliptical. Those are my outlets. I mean, it's
Mm,
not just about being physically fit or trying to be physically fit, it's mentally fit. I
hmm
need to work my brain. My sister, who's 10 years older than I am, passed away a year and a half ago from early onset Alzheimer's.
mm.
And of course, that's always, a concern of me and my brother. We were like, oh my God, is that going to happen to us? And so I try very hard to work my brain all the time. This organization has definitely helped me do that.
I would say so.
I tell people, I go, I certainly don't have any money, but I've never felt richer.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that and for all that you've shared with us. I know I am absolutely taking away probably a million and one things from our conversation today, and I hope that everyone else who is listening was also able to receive through our conversation. So, thank you again so much, Annie, and thank you to all who listened. Have a great day, everyone.